2017, almost gone. Got about a week left. I'm sitting here just looking back at some of the accomplishments, both in the things I've done and looking at just smartphones in general and tech. It's been one awesome ride. I remember almost like a year ago, I would say, I started for the first time trying to see what it would be like to make YouTube videos and see what it like to edit. I started out with web, it's like a little program, I can't even think of the name of it right now. Like a little cheap program I got from Amazon, but it allowed me to download it and use it for my Mac. Just kind of playing around with editing and see how that look and using that and a couple other things I was playing with the camera that I had just to see what I can do with it. Then, as I began to progress to this year, I found ways to utilize the different things I had before me. I like to say, man, it was a fun year, 2017. Me and my brother got a chance to do a little sports show, kind of see what we could do with that. Dronewolf, who had been a very helpful individual, throughout this process, has been a good person to chop it up with. And me and him did a couple of videos in 2017 and had that Knuckleheads talking tech and Knuckleheads talking sports. For me, I just had just a lot of ideas in my head about, do I want to, possibly go full time with this? Will I have the time to go full time with it? What it would look like, where I want to go. And I got an opportunity in 2017 to really just play around with all of that, just to see what it would be like to put together show notes and how to work with other people. And I just learned so much in 2017. And yeah, I really thank all those who helped me through that period and was instrumental. And for the few followers I do have, I thank you for following me and thumbing up my videos, man. And yeah, I mean, when I've done it, I went through this period of why I was doing it. At first I was doing it for fun, and then it became something that I wanted to pursue more, to gather more followers and more likes, to try to figure out what I need to do to increase that. And unfortunately, I felt like as I was pushing more and more towards that, I was finding myself really getting away from why I done this in the first place. And that was because I enjoy talking about different things such as tech and sports and just different things that really interest me. I found myself just being bombarded because, we'll do shows that, will be like late Saturday night, and then I try to find a way to edit that and get that done, which meant, I was up to 2, 3, sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, Sunday morning, and then had to turn around and go to church and, not get much rest and try to start my day the next day. So it was getting to the point of like, man, I don't know, through that period, I had to step back and, ask myself, was I really doing what I enjoy doing with this? And some part I still do, but it made me look at a lot of things differently, and hopefully going into 2018, I have a better idea what I really want to do and the direction I want to go with my channel there. But yeah, I enjoy this journey that I've been allowed to take, and I enjoy the freedom that I had to be able to talk about different things and be involved in, just different projects. So it was just all fun, And speaking of 2017, man, it's like 2017 was the year that we really saw tech just continue to evolve and grow. I mean, could we have imagined we will be where we're at now? And when I say that, I mean, look, a year ago, some of the biggest complaints I had about Android, Google, Apple, and all that, they really stepped up better this year. And you know what? As much as I talk about Samsung, and I still have an issue with TouchWiz, that likely is the only reason I will not get another Samsung device as far as a daily driver, because one, personally, that's just not my cup of tea. I really do not like TouchWiz. I don't like, that for me, I feel like it's just too heavy. And and others do like it. So, but for myself, I didn't like it. I don't like that Samsung. For me, it's just too slow with providing their updates. So, you know, I feel like for me, I'm someone who would always want to be cutting edge. Back in the day, I used to ROM a lot so that I can get the updates fast and play around with that. And for just someone like myself, I think will find themselves gravitating more to Google phones, such as the Google Pixel, because yeah, we want those updates. We want that the latest and greatest. And if you're someone like that, honestly, you're probably gonna gravitate to the Google phone. But with that said, I still have to give kudos to Samsung. They really did a good job again, kind of setting the standard. And that's the one thing I continue to find myself being impressed with Samsung, is that it's like their Galaxy phone, their Galaxy S, whatever that version here, seems to set the standard for that year. And they came out swinging with the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus, with continuing to really do away with some of the bezels. They gave us the design feature that we wanted more, you know, and I applaud them for that. And even with the TouchWiz software, as much as I give them a lot of crap for it, they have toned it down a lot. Like I said, if you're a Samsung fan and you was like on a fence on whether or not you should buy the latest Note or S Plus device, man, listen, go ahead and get that device. Samsung really did a good job this year, and I continue to applaud them. And if I had to award them, or have awards for phone, I have to say, yeah, because of some of the complaints, which are valid for the Google Pixel 2 XL, Samsung with the Note 8 is this year's phone of the year, 2017, hands down. As far as longevity, I would still always gravitate to the Pixel, because Google will continue to fix it and update it and correct some of the issues. But there's just one thing Google will never be able to fix, and that's just the fact that they decided to go with LG's panel instead of going with maybe Samsung's panel. And that is the reason why I felt like Google really missed the opportunity of just straight up dominating. But with that said, while we're talking about Google, I give Google props. Despite how I felt about them going to LG's panel, I was excited that they went back to LG, because LG have been pretty much money for them, for Google. If you go back to the Nexus 4, coming off of the Galaxy Nexus, they took a beating there. People were not too happy with that, me, myself included. Yeah, they really needed a phone to just get them back into that groove. And yeah, that Nexus 4 was it. That glass back. It wasn't LTE because, Google felt like, well, you know what, they haven't, whatever they need to do, they didn't feel comfortable with that. But it got them back on track. And then you come out there the year after that with the Nexus 5 that brought LTE. LG really done a lot to continue on Google and the Nexus into the spotlight, especially for the hardcore Google fans right there. So, and I was one of them. I was one who was wanting Google to go back to LG. I remember writing on various blogs, man, I would love to see Google go back to LG. LG has been good for Google. Everything that LG has done for Google has been money. And really, despite, some of the early complaints about the display, yeah, man, I love this phone. And it was the Pixel 2 XL was Google phone that I wish they would have made last year. And the reason why I say that, because I felt like if they would have made this phone last year as their first device, and if they was to improve on it, I feel like what we would have been now would have just been easily, I think they would have learned from the display issue. They would have learned from some of the different uh, complaints, and they would have made a phone that would have been arguably or easily this year's best phone. But with that said, yeah, I'll give Google credit. They didn't hold back for the most part. They kept with the trend, at least for the XL model. They kept with the trend, knocking out some of them bezels, as we say, but giving enough room for the front-facing speaker. And by the way, good job, Google. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing that front-facing speakers, because I have to say that's one of the best features of the Nexus phones in general. Nexus 6P, the Nexus 6 was those front-facing speakers, and I'm so glad they brought it back. And it made sense for why you had the little bezels you do have, because you have those front-facing speakers. And for those who own front-facing speakers, they'll tell you, yeah, those are something that you would love to have, especially, if you don't have a set of headphones, or since we now going with the trend of everybody going away from the headphone jacks, just to have some front-facing speakers, that's just a good feature to add on to that. While we continue to talk about smartphones, let's talk about some newcomers, the Razr. And I personally haven't get a chance to play with that phone myself. I would like to get a chance to get my hands on one, but yeah, for the newcomer coming in there, I really feel like what they did with that phone, 120 refresh rate, just the overall, what they did as far as battery life, the smoothness of it. I really feel that thanks to what they did, we have an opportunity to see Android change in the future going forward. Hopefully Google, in their next Pixel iteration, follow along with a similar processor. Though we know Google don't care so much about hardware, and really try to spend a lot more time just making the software the best experience ever. But yeah, Google, if you're going to go out there and charge up there with the iPhones and the Samsungs, you can't be skimping on hardware. And for me, I don't feel like they did that with the Pixels 2 XL for the most part, but I'm not going to give them slack for the display, because you got people out there in testing, and you saw the problems there. There's no way that someone didn't bring up to you that there was a problem with the display. And the fact that you guys continue to go on with it, yeah, I mean, you knew what was going down. And that was why you guys, it didn't take too long for them to pretty much have an answer for a lot of the complaints. I felt like they were somewhat waiting for that. So, but yeah, back to the Razr. I like what they're doing with the front-facing speakers as well. They continue that and making an ultimate gaming phone. But let's continue to talk about some of the newcomers. Another newcomer this year that unfortunately, yeah, they didn't do so well, and that would be the Essential phone. It's you know what, they came out this year with a lot of momentum. It was something different. I say out of all the phones out there before the iPhone X came out, you're talking about something that was truly bezel-less. And as far as the overall build, people was excited to see what they could do. But like I said in my last video, they were just one, too slow to get the phone out there to capitalize on the hype, and two, yeah, that camera. And really, once the cat was let out of the bag about that camera, when Twitter pictures got out there and people were like, man, that camera's garbage. And yeah, it was too late, and then people were kind of waiting. Okay, you said that was just an early build. We're waiting to see this phone. And then when the camera continued to turn out to be garbage, and then at the price they were selling it for, people were like, you know what, I'll just go ahead and wait to see what Google had with the next Pixel. So that ended up hurting them, and like I said, again, this year with the Razr coming out there, the Razr phone, yeah, it really pushed the essential pretty much out of the conversation. If we have to say what this year's worst phone would be, for me, because of all the hype and excitement and all that came with it, I have to say the essential phone was this year's worst phone because of that. Now, I've seen other people review and say HTC um, had the worst phone this year, but and they, I'm not gonna argue that, but I feel like HTC is like at this point, at least I don't. I've given up, expecting HTC to do something big with their phones. In fact, when I do see them put out somewhat of a decent phone, I'm like, okay, but they're not even on my radar anymore. You know, um, Quite frankly, outside of the Pixel, um, Samsung is on that radar. Yeah, HTC is not there at all. I'm not even giving them a second look. Um, First look, really, because of the simple fact that for the past few years, it's like I don't know what it is. It's like uninspiring, as they say. And yeah, I know that they're putting out some phones later in 2017 that was something that's competing with the phones this year, and some are pretty good phones. But unfortunately, it's like it's a little bit too late. You know, People done moved on to Samsung, and really Samsung is pretty much the top Android phone out there now. With I would say the Pixel crawling up there to the second place. But right now obviously it's still Samsung's game. Motorola with the um, all of the Moto mods are capturing an audience, and that's another thing. I really hope Motorola continues with that. Continue going strong with the Moto mods, even though they may not be getting these Samsung numbers. I think that you're going to continue to get a following of people. And in fact, that's another thing I like to say. Kudos with Motorola with those Moto mods continue to go strong there. And speaking of which, while we're talking about technology, that makes me wonder. I'm thinking by 2018, 2019, if I have to guess, smartphone manufacturer that's not going to be around, I'm going to say HTC. Um, with Google just taking, um, you know, buying out a part of their research and development team, and mainly the team that was working on that Pixel model. But taking that, I really feel like HTC, we're gonna find them slowly dissolving here and there, and HTC may end up, instead of making phones, just end up being someone who making software, or maybe do something like tablets, or I don't know. I just feel like HTC in the next 2 or 3 years, we're going to see them not really being much of a competitor. Let's say this maybe resolve themselves to being nothing but like a mid-end, low-end phone manufacturer, and that's it. So be interested to see, how far or how close I am to that prediction being true. Another thing that's as far as technology, the assistant market. We're starting to see that grow even more. Google is kind of growing their product out more with the Google Mini. And by the way, the Google Home Mini, when now I got that as a free gift from Google when I bought my Pixel 2 XL. Yeah, and when it first arrived, I left it in the box for a couple of days. I'm still thinking, man, I got it because I'm like, hey, it's free, go ahead and give me my free gift because you said you would. But when I got it, it's like I really don't see the need for it, don't see the want for it. I never understood so much of the assistant mindset, like I really needed or cared to really care for, like there was something I needed to be concerned about or worried about. But now when I've had the opportunity to play with it, man, yeah, I see why people like them. It's not something you must have, it's something you need. But when you do get it, it's like something that, yeah, you can see why people are in love with those assistant devices. It's just the various things they can do, from playing music to, yeah, you know, it does what you needed to do. And honestly, at that $20 price, that's the sweet spot right there. And it's kudos for Google going to that price, and I hope they stay there. I know they right now they're saying that they're there just as temporary for the holidays, but they really need to keep that price there because it makes that device a little bit more attractive. Because you're more willing to spend $20 for that just to give it a try, and really for most people, $25 is perfect. You know, for a little toy like this, just to yeah, to get your weather and to play around. I think any more than $20 for majority of the people, especially those who are not much of a tech fan, it's gonna feel like it's robbery. Like, why I'm spending money for this? It's not doing. It's not gonna be worth any more than that. But like I said, that $20 to $25 area, that's perfect right there. And as we get ready to get into 2018, I think we're gonna see daydreams start to kind of fall off. I know manufacturers continue to try to push for this virtual reality, especially Google, doing everything they can with it. But I'm starting to feel like that, um, yeah, that it's just not it's not going to be what people really want. In fact, the other day I picked up my Daydream headset and put it on for the first time in I would say almost a year now, because it really just sat in the corner collecting dust. And I said, okay, I got a phone that is officially meant for it. Last time I tried it I tried on Nexus 6P, and technically it wasn't meant for that device, but I tried it on it anyway and got it to work. But yeah, I tried on a phone that was officially meant for it. Put it on for the first time, the Daydream headset, and it's like, yeah, between the headaches, just the discomfort, I just didn't feel like, yeah, I can see why they're going to struggle to push VR because, yeah, I mean, a lot of people is not going to want to wait and be able to get used to that feel. You know, the concept of it here and there, yeah, people going to be interested in it. They're going to play around with it. But overall, it's not going to be something that someone's going to be looking forward to every day, putting it on their head. They're not going to want to look forward to, just the overall VR for those who've used it before. Just, like I said, the headaches you get, the sweatiness, you can't really use it for long periods of time. So it almost defeats the purpose of some of the programs they push, like VR movies and all the other stuff, because you can't really enjoy it for that period of time. Which is why I see augmented reality is pretty much taking over going forward. And Google, even digging into it themselves, pretty much moving away from their current augmented reality phone and going more similar to kind of like AR kit, which I said they need to do. We got a chance to see that in the camera this year, where you can play around with different things with augmented reality there, and I see that being the way of the future. Because for right now, people are going to want to be able to be able to experience what's going on around them. So I think the best way to really take advantage of that is to bring kind of Google Glass back in a way and integrate that with augmented reality. And I think that we could see that really take off there if the manufacturers are in software developers are willing to jump on as far as with that. But yeah, man, 2017 was a pretty cool, pretty good year for tech. And they said Samsung, they made a strong coming back this year. Um, Arguably making, I say, the best phone of the year with the Note 8. Apple, man, even though right now they're getting a lot of heat right now for getting caught with slowing their phones down. Which, listen, man, I think a lot of people had had thought they were doing that, before, but for them to come back and come out and pretty much admit that they are doing it, confirming the rumors that people have speculated in the past, yeah, that's just wow. I mean, and then the excuse they gave which is to preserve battery life. And I'm not saying that that wasn't a valid excuse or valid reason, but yeah, I think a lot of people would, if you were to give them a choice, they may have opted to see about changing out the battery and continue on keeping the um, that strong performance going. And then you never know, because for some people they may not care. But I've heard from people in the past why with iPhones that they hated getting updates because they felt like with Apple, yeah, every time I took an update, I hated the thing and it slowed my phone down, this and that, and I felt like, man, at the time, like, yeah, I think you just being bitter and angry about the update, man. Because and this was a lot of people. I felt like with updates, it may have changed their phone around a different way, changed the look, and a lot of people they don't like change, and I felt like it was just someone who didn't like change complaining, and the reality was they were right, and yeah, Apple kind of proved that. So, but with that said, even though we're Apple getting bashed right now, and I think we're going to see some changes going forward because of this, and I'll discuss that in a minute. But yeah, the iPhone X, kudos with them stepping outside the box and doing something a little different and bring that advice right there. And yeah, I mean, is it a phone for everybody? No. But I'm liking what they did there, changing things up. I'm liking what they did with the emojis. Yeah, the price for that phone is a little bit outrageous, but when you buy Apple, you're gonna pay for it. So and that didn't keep people from buying that phone. So yeah, good job with that. But to my point on the what's going to end up changing going forward with manufacturers because of this whole Apple thing is now we're going to see people starting to question some of these updates. And one of two things is going to happen. We're either going to see manufacturers either step up and do a better job with updating and continue with performance, or we're going to see manufacturers just stop updating their phones in general. And to me, that could just to me that's the worst option. I don't want to see a manufacturer just use this excuse of what, I don't feel like we can maintain the performance, so we just not gonna update the phone at all. Because I feel like that's just robbing the customer there. You're gonna force the customer pretty much one way or another to buy a new model. And look, if someone spend, especially what we spend for phones now, 6, 7. Now that these phones are going for $1,000, come on. I mean, they have the right to expect their phone to last for more than a year, 2 years, and even they want to see the phone go 4 years. Can you really fault them considering that you're wanting to sell these phones for about $1,000? They're not really asking too much for their phone to last that long, and hopefully, yeah, the market hold the manufacturers accountable. And if they're not fulfilling what they should, or they're under the bargain, then be willing to go somewhere else. So that'd be interesting to see how we go with that there. Um, yeah, but as we get into 2018, look forward to seeing CES, see some of the devices come out there. Definitely want to see Samsung S9 and see what they do there and how they would change the market there. And I'm hoping they actually get the fingerprint reader under the glass going, and we see that improve. As we go forward there. And yeah, by the time we get to uh, the Pixel 4, see how well Google is able to improve on that. I look forward to seeing what Motorola continue to do with the Moto Mods. Is this going to continue to grow and continue to be a device that continues to evolve and push and expand on that? Because I'm glad that they have continued, and I really hope that they don't just abandon that. Um, Essential. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Are they going to come out with a second phone? Because we already seen them drop their so-called assistant. Because when they first came out, they had the essential phone and the like essential, like it was an assistant type um, device they was trying to release that was supposed to compete with Amazon and Google Home, and we never seen that device I don't think that device ever seen the light of day. So, in fact, if you look at the Echo Spot, man, I'm not sure if Essential just sold the design or whatever, or sold it to Amazon or what. But yeah, they didn't even get a chance to get that out there. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. So yeah, and where Essential go in the future, where they have a second year, and where they have learned enough from the mistakes in the past that the Essential Two, or yeah, end up being a much better phone, a much competitor phone. And I think we will see a Razor too. Razor really came out strong with this phone. I don't think they're going to see the numbers they were hoping to see, but I think one of the issues there is they kind of released too late. At that point, a lot of people was already committed where they were going to go there. Yeah, they released that phone pretty much right after the Pixel and all that stuff. So by that point, people already made their mind. If they haven't already got the S8, they already picked up the Note or the Pixel or the latest iPhone. So I think for Razer to have more success coming into 2018, they may want to look at releasing that phone a little earlier than the fall. And matter of fact, that's one thing I think a manufacturer could really take advantage of if they have a summer release. I know a lot of manufacturers don't like to do that. They rather have a spring release or a fall release. Samsung, they like to have their fall releases for the Note devices and the spring releases for the S8 or I'm sorry, S Plus devices. Apple, they're pretty much going to the fall releases. HTC, well, they're somewhere wherever, and LG as well. But yeah, I think Razer could find that niche area where they release right there in the summer and capitalize on that dead period for technology. And yeah, it maybe be able to get a jump on the iPhone and the Pixel. So I think they will definitely get another shot there. Then you have the Red phone that's supposed to be coming out, and it'd be interesting to see where we go from there. And what's going to happen as we start to get a little bit more saturated in the Android market? What's who's going to be able to stick around? Who's going to end up falling out? You know, because hey, there's only so many room for so many players. And Samsung, hey, they're taking up the largest market share. Motorola, they're going to continue to keep a fan base. Google, the people who are Nexus fans, they're going to continue to gravitate to them, and they're starting to see people who are non-Nexus fans or who didn't know anything about the Nexus or didn't care too much about the Nexus. They're starting to grow their own fan base towards the Pixel line. So you got that there. It's going to be real interesting to see in 2018, 2019 who's still around, and that's why I go back to my thought process that yeah, HTC come 2019, I think they're gone. You can't forget BlackBerry's still in there, even though they're a small player in the game, and Huawei, and a lot of other smaller, overseas companies, especially in the Chinese markets, that's out there and competing there. You can't forget about OnePlus because yeah, OnePlus they're grabbing some numbers too, and they made a pretty good phone last year or this year. So it's gonna be real interesting to see who's still around and see where we continue to go with technology, how it evolves, where drone tech goes, and how does it continue to integrate with phone tech, where the assistant tech goes, and how far that's gonna go. Where augmented reality is going to go, and how does it play into what the goals of Google and Apple is, and where's Samsung going to play with the augmented reality? What they going to do with it? Are we going to see, SAR kit or S augmented reality? It's going to be curious to see where we go with that. The Tango line, pretty much gone. Google killed that off, and they're shifting, like I said, towards more of an AR kit. Which, by the way, a couple of videos ago, that was something I was hoping they did. Would do something similar to Apple. So they're actually are doing that. It's gonna be, like I said, be interesting to see what Samsung do, what LG do, what Motorola do, and how they go from there, and how we use that in everyday life. And it's gonna be interesting to see what I do with this channel in 2018. Where I go with it. Will I be able to be consistent with this? Making videos, and will I have a actual compass on where I want to go with that? Will it just be tech only, tech and sports, phone only, or open to any and all tech? Be curious to see. But hey guys, this is PC747. Wow, I can't believe I went 30-something minutes, but 30-something minutes talking about tech and how far we come in 2017 and preparing for 2018 to see what we're going to be able to do, where we're going to be able to go, and how we're going to be able to continue to change our thought process on what we're going to be able to go with tech. Expand the horizon of our thoughts, because up until this point, I kept asking the question, where can tech go? I feel like we did everything we could possibly do with tech, especially smartphones. There was no other place we can go, and yet companies continue to amaze me, especially companies like Samsung. All right, guys, PC747 out. Have a happy holidays and happy New Year's for those going into the 2018. I'm out.